Hey YouTube, here we are back again on a Wednesday morning. Is this Wednesday already?
It is Wednesday, Deb,
Holy
and I
moly.
have a new modem, so I shouldn't go down today.
Well, thank goodness, because it's been kind of a crazy week with you in and out of meetings and in and out of live
Yeah,
calls and
yeah.
it's been a little,
Now, if I
little
drop off, it maybe I'm just faking it.
oh, exactly. But now you know how to do it. You know how to just disappear. Excellent. Well, I know that we talked a little bit about the coin that I think it was on, was it Friday, Wednesday last week or Friday
I
that
think it was
you went
Friday.
in and set up a grid for Mines of Delarnia. So where are we at with
Right.
that? Have you had a chance to check it out?
I did. I went and looked at it this morning, and I'll bring it up and we'll make today a kind of a quick call, but we're going to do some trading today. We've been doing so much in Utix tokens and Otherverse, so today is going to be a trade day.
Nice. I love
Um,
it.
Okay, so we got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's holding some nice up pressure. But we want to go look at our trade. There it is. And and we can see that the two trades are down a little bit. But the interesting thing is, Deb, if we hadn't used our pullback, right? And we knew that, and we talked about this, that we're up so high. We had this big move up. They always have these pullbacks. And because we were up so high, this could be a deeper pullback. Um, and this pullback was 11%. This pullback from here to here, its deepest point was about 10 to 11%. This little one here was about all 9 going to 10% range. So we set up our initial trades to trade deeper, and we can see, and let me get rid of some of these so you guys can see what's going on here. um, we can see that from where we were starting at, the high of the market came down about, let's see here if we can get it in range here, about 15%, which would be this barrier. Our trade ended up taking at about 14% from the high, but from where we started tracking, it was about 11%. And this one's about 11%. So in both cases, it's great that, we just didn't jump in and
Yes.
take a trade, that we showed some patience, let the market come to us. Very interesting that we did have a little bounce. We can see that underneath all of these dots. If I can turn them
Go
all
ahead
off.
and click the peak val, the red. I know it says it's already off. It's not. Click on that. It'll
Yeah.
disappear. It'll disappear.
Yes, that is preparing for
Whoop.
me.
I'm lying. Didn't disappear.
Yeah. But you meant good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Huh.
we'll send this to our programmers,
Yeah.
because when we check all the dots, programmers, all the dots are supposed to disappear. So they'll work on that. Anyways, we know we can see this little up move here. So we had the right range. We have another little bounce here, is kind of going lower. But the real thing that I want to make sure is that if it goes deeper, I want to cost average deep. I also want to kind of understand, what is the current mindset behind Mines of Delarnia, right? And to do that, I went out and I looked at Lunar Crush, and I looked at the social sentiments here on Lunar Crush for a 1 week to see where Mines of Delarnia is. Also looked at 1 day. We can see there's a lot of interactions, but posts are down a little bit. The creators are down a little bit, but we still got some numbers here. This ranking keeps changing radically this morning. I've seen it as high as plus 440, and now it's
Oh,
it's
wow.
down to minus 40. So there's a lot. It's happening in real time. There's a
Wow.
lot going on here. The perfect score for this, I think, is a 1. 1 is the strongest. So, anything that is on the positive side, like I saw a 440, it means that it had lost 440 positions to to the other rankings. So I don't use these two a whole lot. I really primarily focus on social dominance, social sentiment, and I like to compare that against Bitcoin. Okay, so we can kind of see these, and then we look at Bitcoin here, and we can see that definitely outperforming Bitcoin in the 1 week. And let's make sure this is on 1 day. Let's go back to 1 week. We can see very strong. Social dominance is starting to lose a little bit, but that is in comparison to all other activities that's going on in the crypto space. So some pretty solid numbers here.
Mhm.
Still interest, right? And here we're back to plus 254. That thing is all over the board. And then if I look at Bitcoin for the 1 week, we can see that Mines of Delarney have pretty much outperforming Bitcoin in terms of overall conversation and a lot of things that are going on in the marketplace. So still think there's viability for the coin. I still think there's a lot of excitement for the coin because of that. But I'm still not ready to, after having a massive move up, right? I'm not ready to dive all in. I'm 113% up from here. I'm not ready to dive all in. I got 2 trades into this coin. I would need to, well, I still trade it probably this way because we're up so far. There's so much strength. I'm looking at some type of retracement. I have that. I'm currently below the prior barrier here. I'm trading below it. I'm trading at probably pretty close to what was resistance. No, I'm not even close to that yet. This was resistance, will become support probably here, but this is really the range that I'm looking at. If I'm going to do my next cost average, this would be the range that I would want to potentially get into, or I just want these 2 trades to kind of trade out. If we go back up, retest the high, then I'll get out and profit in these 2 trades and, we'll go on and do something else. But I don't want to get in too heavy again, too high, because I'm below the barriers. And the market will have a tendency to gravitate towards a barrier. So, it's going to have a high potential, no guarantee, but I got to trade the potential of what I know and then be okay with where I'm at, right? So I have the best of both worlds here. I'm already in the game. That plays out great. I'm all good. If it doesn't play out, then where do I want to execute? And I always talk about make the market come to you versus you coming to the market.
Yes, I totally agree. Sorry, I just went out to YouTube to check on who was here. We've got Perry and Gary both here. Hey, guys, nice to have you.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
I love this. I love when we get to relook at barriers with resistance and a lot of times when I'm looking at my charts, Doug, a lot of times I forget to really look at that resistance piece. I sometimes go down to, okay, where was the last low? And I forget to really think about the resistance there to look at that and make sure that I'm considering that with my decisions.
Yeah, and we see that over and over all the time where resistance becomes support and so on, and we can see where prior resistance becomes resistance again, right? We have a high here, it comes right back and touches it right here. So these are the areas that traders have to use, right? People go, well, why does that happen? Well, it's because people are trying to find reasons to take action,
Right.
and now they have a roadmap, and they use this as their roadmap. Okay. And so the better you read the roadmap, the better that you can make decisions also. But
Well, when you
it
can
doesn't mean,
remember, I'm sorry, Doug, go ahead. It doesn't
no,
mean.
well, it doesn't mean that it's a guarantee, Deb. It
Sure,
means
sure, sure.
that sometimes a fundamental event can come out and it can blow through a barrier, right?
Yeah.
Barriers are barriers as long as everything kind of stays status quo. So when that status quo changes, and you need to be looking on, social sentiment, you need to be looking on news and trying to find news to know if fundamentals are going to override technicals.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So go ahead,
And
Deb. What were you going to say?
well, for me, it's really important to remember too. So Doug, you've been trading for 20 plus years, right? We stopped at the 20. I think you'll be trading
Thank you
20
for
plus
doing
years.
that.
Yeah,
Thank
forever.
you.
Me, I have a lot fewer years in the game, but I've consistently listened to your teaching and training and have become, I think, a fairly consistent trader. But one of the things that helped me understand, well, why does this keep happening? Like it hits these barriers. Why does it keep happening? Well, if we take a step back and remember that these are just traders, these are just other
Mhm.
traders. So somebody got into a trade at a certain place, right? They got into that
Mhm.
trade at a certain place. They need to, they, they are making their own decisions on their trade, right? And
Right.
they need to cover their own trades, right? So when it starts to drop a little bit, they're going to be cost averaging that trade, right? So when
Right.
you
Well, especially the
consider
big traders.
so when you consider that the big traders are making these decisions in that same way, we can really understand why the market is so consistent. People are defending their positions, right?
Right.
They
Right.
have to they're doing that because they're traders and because anybody who's trading and understands how to trade is following these same concepts to defend their own positions. We see the market consistently doing the same thing over and over and over.
Well, I got a great example, and I didn't think of this until you just said it. I had to go I had to go get a new modem and router and stuff for my computer because it went down the other day. And I'm going and I'm pulling up to a stoplight, and the stoplight has two lanes that are going to turn left, and I got to turn left. In the right-hand lane, there's probably 25 cars, literally 25 cars. In the left-hand lane that turns left also, they both turn left, there's one car. I don't know why people do that. Why would they not go behind the one
Right.
car? Now, the guy that's 25 cars back, I'm watching in my rear view mirror. The last third of those people didn't make the light.
Right.
Human nature looks for patterns. It looks for things to understand. And a lot of times we talk about this becoming self-fulfilling prophecies or whatever,
Mhm.
but human nature is going to say that this area defended it for whatever reason, went up, and now when it gets back to this area, people are probably going to do the same thing or
Right.
try to do the same thing. Okay. And so they look for that. And I talk about being patient and making the market come to you. These people weren't patient. Okay. They got in early because they thought it was going to keep running. But patience, even if you're going to split a trade, play, if you see this green come in, okay, I'll put a partial in here and I'll put another partial in down here. If it comes deeper, at least you're spreading it out and playing your odds at getting a better entry. But when we look at these kind of things and we say, okay,
Oh no, we've lost you, Doug. All right, everybody, hang on. Perry, the history of tokens reflects the social the social sentiment on the token. Yes, that is very true. Thank you, Perry, for your input. And he's going to drop any second. Doug is. So yeah, I've always found it is interesting to follow these charts and see that it continues to be consistent, just like Doug has trained us all to look for and make decisions. So I'm not sure what he's going to do today. I don't know if he's got his auto cost averaging automatically turned on for this grid. So I was gonna show you on the chart where I would go with it, but of course he's sharing his screen, so I'm not able to do that. He's gonna come right back on, guys. I just know it. He'll send me a text message if he can't. So for some of you who have been trading with nSights, and we just did the take your negative trades, move that USDT out, and go pick up yourself some bags of Otherverse UX tokens. Those are still available. They're at the zero, they're still in pre-sale. They're at the 0.055 now. That's the price on those. Still an excellent price, you guys, to go buy some bags of tokens out there. But for those of you who move some negative trades out, you might have a lot of grids that you decided to keep in live, and maybe they don't have any grid lines on them now. So yesterday, one of the things that I started to do was go back and do an analysis on my live grids that don't have any open grid lines at the moment. So yesterday I took one of the tokens, Citus, one of my favorites, and I went ahead and put 2 grid lines back on it. But I said, don't take the trade until the market drops. I think I did like 35%. Because it's an open grid, it's looking at a previous high. So you have to keep that in mind if you have kind of stopped a grid and then you start trading in it again. It's looking at the previous high. It's not looking at where is the market right now when I'm coming into this trade. So I put it out there with you take a trade when the market drops 35%. That's about another 14% from where it is right now. I just kind of want to get in. I want to start this grid when it's really, really deep, but I'm keeping an eye on it, you guys. I'm keeping an eye on that grid to kind of watch the market. And if I can see that it's starting to take off, if I'm looking at past barriers and support and taking everything into consideration, I might just go ahead and go in and tell it to take the trade now. Oh, Doug's calling. All right. Are you not available to come back? Okay, I'll call you in a minute. Thanks, Doug. Bye. All right, so in the next few days, so Doug, you heard, he's lost complete control at his place. So apologies, we thought we had it fixed with a new router. Anyway, we're probably going to do some analysis here over the next few live calls where we go into grids that have 0 grid lines and we start to show you how to open those grids back up. So that'll be fun. That's something that I definitely want to do. So Doug and I will come back to you on Friday and we'll finish up his chat on Mines of Delarnia. And everybody, thank you so much for sticking with us. And we'll see you again on Friday. Have a fantastic day. Oh, here he comes. I just ended the call.
Hey, just
hey,
like that.
I had just ended the call without pressing the final button. If you can so yeah, I'll talk to you about where I went with this after the call, since they've already heard it.
So are they still on the call? Yeah.
Yeah, we still have a couple on the call. We
All
have,
right.
I think 8 people out. 2 have left messages. Drew Doug got shorted, Drew said.
Doug did.
He did. He likes to, guys, he likes to keep me on my toes to make sure this is something that I can really handle, right,
That's
Doug?
right.
Is
That's
that
right.
what you've
And
been
nothing
doing?
like fumbling the ball and making her pick it up and throw it into the end zone.
Right? And
Right. Right.
it went pretty well. So I think we're
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So is the live off and we're just on Zoom?
No, we're still on live.
Okay.
I just said goodbye and I hadn't pressed the button when I noticed you
Well,
came
let's
back.
do this real quick.
Sure, sure.
I turned off both of my ACAs
Mhm.
before we got on the call because I wanted to come here and just look at what my ACAs were set up at. And
Auto cost
so,
average, for those of you who might not know. Yeah, the auto cost average.
and I set it at 20, and I set it at 2, and I did it to cost, do it where my first buy was the least amount, and then my second buy was going to be more. I'm going to modify that. I'm going to, I had it set at I thought I had it set, yes, had it set at a fixed amount here, 65. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this, because I think the real barrier, and if I can look at this and not get cut off, please, universe here, is I think this is really the main barrier area. And then if we break this, we're coming back down near the bottom, somewhere
Yeah.
in this range. So I'm going to focus on this area, which is roughly about from here to the first line 17 to here is 24, 25% down to here on that trade. And this trade is down about 20%. So if I do this one at 20, it's going to put me right in here. And if I do this one at 20, it's going to put me right near the bottom. Really, really two good entries, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to modify this. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to go to cost average. I'm going to get rid of the 2 and say 1. That's going to take 1 trade per grid line. Then if it drops below that barrier that I'm looking at, then I will add another auto cost average, or I may choose to manually cost average one of them or both of them. I'll have options at that point, but right now I want to control this. So I'm going to leave this at 20%. I like that, but I'm going to take this back up to the original trade amount, which is $50. So I'm committing $100 to the grid in cost averages, $50 per grid line. If it drops down in that zone, it will take it from my auto cost average wallet, my ACA wallet, which is not my main wallet. It's a wallet that we use to do cost averaging with. We use that money, cost average it, put it back in the wallet, and then use it in other places or other grids and other coins to cost average them. So we constantly keep that money floating and moving around and working for us.
Love it.
So, but I'm only going to do 1 per grid line. So that's 2 for this grid because I have 2 grid lines. I'm going to do them at $50, and it's going to have to drop 20% to get me into that grid, okay, or into that trade. So I'm going to hit update here, and it was successful. And Deb, before I lose internet, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're excellent. So when you dropped, I started to, because I could still see your screen. So I started to tell them, well, I'm not sure what his plan is, but here's what I would do with my ACA. And then you dropped altogether and I lost the screen. So I wasn't able to continue. But I'm happy to say, and anybody could say this, right? I could pretend that I had, but I'm happy to say that I was planning to follow exactly what you had set up here. So,
Wow.
so I'm thrilled that always makes me think, you know what? I am doing this.
You got it. I can just stop coming on.
And the more you guys come to our this channel is for educational purposes only. Please understand that if we're trading a coin, we don't expect you to jump in and trade that same coin and
Right.
make the same trades. That is not what we're here for. What we're here for is just to educate you on the process. How do you decide when to take a trade? How do you decide when to use our amazing tools for money management, right? I love our money management tools. It sets us above and beyond the rest. So I'm excited. Educational purposes only. Do not spend money on crypto that you can't afford to lose, or don't spend money on anything that you can't afford to lose. Let's just say that. Anyway, had a lot of fun today, Doug. Thank you so much. And thank you
Yeah.
for coming back. Really happy
Yeah.
that you did. And
Yeah. Well, I was
well,
about ready to call the cable network and it popped back on. I go, okay, I'll jump back on. So,
I appreciate that. I
yeah.
appreciate
So
that. This is a lot of
appreciate
fun.
it, Deb. Thank you for being the superstar that you are and picking up the ball and running with it.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see you on Friday.